Hello, hello, and welcome to another episode of Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. I'm your host, Amanda, and my amazing co host is.
Hello, I'm Megan.
Hey, hey. All right, so we are your source for messy, imperfect homeschool advice. So come tune in for solid but relatable advice that you can implement on your homeschool journey.
Oh, truth. I do not have the energy to create a picture perfect persona to put out on the internet. And like to what end, right? I mean, so you can feel like crap when you don't measure up to my fake persona. I mean, what a world this has become, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's true. And then the other thing here is, in addition to authenticity, you'll find progressive secular community here at Homeschool Moms Unfiltered. The root of homeschooling in the United States specifically is deeply religious, but there are more of us secular peeps around than you might realize. So, depending on where you live, you might have to turn over, let's be real, quite a few rocks to find your people. But there's definitely a large contingency of homeschoolers who believe that trans lives matter, that no human is illegal, and that teaching our kids to make good trouble is a key responsibility of our role as homeschool parents and caregivers.
Yes, absolutely. So if you've been feeling like a fish out of water in the old school, traditional type homeschool community, welcome. You have found your people, and we are thrilled you are here.
Yep.
So, today we're going to be talking about qualifications. Are you qualified to homeschool your own children? You might be asking yourself this if you're in the midst of a real self-doubt crisis, or you might be getting this kind of pushback from family and or friends, although I'd argue that they're not really friends if they would do that to you. But either way, that can rattle your confidence, right? It can be a big issue. So, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's so true. And look, easy spoiler alert, of course you're qualified to teach your kids. Okay, but we're going to dig into that a bit more in just a minute. But if you've been listening to us for a while, you know that we like to start off each of our episodes with a little recap of our respective weeks as part of that whole like keeping it real vibe, right? So, how's your week been, Megan?
Very busy, but good. Right? I'm a little tired. If you're watching on video, it shows, I'm sure. But good. I loved your reference to Good Trouble earlier. Last week was the anniversary of John Lewis's passing. And so there were Good Trouble protests around the United States and some outside the US as well, in celebration of his legacy. So Amanda and I believe you protested, right?
Yeah,
And yep,
we
and
did our
we
thing.
went. We were in Palm Beach still visiting my parents. So it was the most low key protest I've ever seen in my entire life, where the crowd continuously heckled the speakers for not being able to hear them, no matter how loud they were, because it was the average age was up there. But I mean, how exciting that we had that many seniors who were
Mhm.
out and actively voicing their support for issues that aren't as common among older generations. So that was that was good news. Statistically, some of the older folk don't necessarily get behind LGBTQ issues and things like that. And that was happening. So that was beautiful. And then the very next day, we flew back to Portugal. So that was wonderful. We've been dying to get back here and settled in. I love our little apartment here. It's so much smaller than any of the houses that we've ever lived in, obviously, since it's an apartment in the city. And I just love it. The kids feel really close and I can hear them from basically everywhere, and it's one of the things that I never liked about some of our previous houses that we've lived in is I just felt like less connected to the kids, especially now. A lot of homes are built where the primary homes are on the first floor and then the kids are, the other bedrooms are on another floor. Like they feel far away. You can't hear them laughing and you can't hear them chatting and stuff like that. And so having them close by here, I love it. It's wonderful. So I've been telling Amanda that I've been testing out a new design concept though for our apartment. So we've lived in really modern houses. My husband's more modern than I am. And so we've been guilty of the plain gray, marble, white, all of that. And so I've previously said that our home looked like our decorating style was looking like we've been robbed because it was so empty all the time. And so I've been trying to add like a little bit of character to our apartment, which has been really fun. I have throw pillows for the first time in forever. I do not like visual clutter. So it's like a lot for me to adjust to and take in. But I've been joking that my new style is maximalism light, which of course is a great oxymoron because you can't really do maximalism in light fashion. My daughter is like, I think that's just how regular people decorate their houses. Like, I don't think to give it its own name, but it's good. So we've just been kind of getting our apartment refreshed now that we're back and all that kind of stuff. And Thursday, my youngest kiddo and I fly to Berlin. He's playing in a Yu-Gi-Oh tournament next weekend in Berlin. So we're going for like 3, 4 days. I'm going to be a history nerd while he plays cards, and it's good. So, busy, but good. It's all good. So how about you, Amanda? How's your week been? You've got a new
Well,
do. If you're watching on video, if you're not, you
mhm.
should check out Amanda's do. It's good.
Yeah, I'm really lazy about those kinds of things. And so I get my hair cut like maybe once a year. This time was a little bit more than a year between haircuts. And so it was really, really long. And you couldn't always tell how long it was because I also have curly hair. And so when it's long, it's not as curly, but still you don't really notice it. And yeah, I went in and she was like, "So do you want it like how short do you want it? Like here?" And I was like, "No, keep going." And she's like, "Here?" I'm like, "No, keep going." She's like, "Just tell me how short." I'm like, just make sure that it's like a little longer than, like a little past my shoulder so I can actually pull it up if I need to. And so yeah, it's like all super chopped off, which also means that the curls are like mass right? Because now they don't have nearly as much weight. So they're really big and doing their thing. And I'm fine with that. It was many decades ago at this point that I embraced my curls and was like, they're going to do what they're going to do, and we're just going to let them. So yeah, that was. I've been busy, and making the time to go get my haircut was really like the highlight of my week. Yeah, it's just that thing. Like there's so much. I'm sure most people are feeling that way, right? There's like just so much constantly, and yeah, I'm like, I don't have much to say. I'm holding on. I have a to-do list that's, like, longer than my arm, and this week, I think I might have mentioned it before, but this week, later in the week, we're actually going to San Francisco because I bought one of mystery vacation deals where, like, they send you somewhere normally for, like, a weekend, but it can be longer than that depending on whether or not you're the lucky name that gets pulled for something longer. Does anyone actually get pulled for the longer trip? Especially at, like, $200 a person. But you, like, pay for this trip, and then you just send them, like, the dates that you're willing to travel and answer a couple of questions, and they send you, like, within a week, they send you, like, your plane tickets and hotel. And so that'll be interesting. We're excited to go back to San Francisco. There was a museum we really wanted to get to that we didn't get to. So this works out well. We have the time to do that. I'm a little concerned because I was like, in all of the paperwork, I was like, look, I have some mobility issues, and like the hotel has to have an elevator. And they were like, "Oh, the hotel doesn't have an elevator, but we'll request for you to be on a lower floor." And I was like, "Well, a lower floor is not like that doesn't really fix the no elevator issue." And
Yeah, that could
but
still be
then
like a second or third floor, which could kick your behind, especially, I mean, it will anyway, but then on top of like if you're carrying things or whatever too, it's like, woof,
yeah,
that's a lot.
yeah, exactly. So there's that. And then the flip side is it's in San Francisco proper, and we live in the city. We live like right in the city. I don't have a problem with living in the city, but we definitely make sure that we don't live on the first floor of the city because that's just not generally like the safest place. And since it's just me and my kiddo traveling, I'm like, I really hope they don't put us on the first floor because this particular hotel has some hotel rooms that are like motel, like first floor off the sidewalk. And I'm like, well, that's not any better. So I don't, we'll see. We'll see exactly what we end up with. We might be at the airport Hyatt where the trip is done. We'll see. Like, the advantage of having a bunch of free night certificates just hanging out in my account. Like worst case scenario, we end up there. But yeah, so I'm doing my best to kind of like take care of the things I need to take care of, but conserve some energy so that we can have this little adventure later this week. I've always wanted to do one of those mystery vacations. I don't know if anyone listening is like, oh, I did one and it was amazing. I was really hoping that like it would be a great experience, and then I'd be able to justify paying for one of the international trips because I think that just sounds so fun for someone to, like, just plan a random international something that I just go and do, but yeah, we'll see.
You'll find out. Well, I hope it's good. Have you ever done the cable car museum in San Francisco? Like where they show you all the police systems and everything? It's so cool.
I have not. My significant other did it, and I don't know, I'm not sure if he took the kiddo or not, so maybe we'll make that our second day
It's
activity. We'll
pretty
see.
cool.
Yeah.
It's
I
pretty
think
cool.
last time, I think we stayed really close by and had planned to go, but then it was maybe closed. There was something that prevented us from
Mhm.
being able to go. But yeah. Yeah.
I feel like it was closed for refurbishment for a while there. Like they were doing something. I forget now,
Mhm.
but that's ringing a bell. Yeah. We live in a trolley city too. And so I was telling Amanda before we started, it's summer and we don't have air conditioning. So my window's open. And so you might hear the trolley, right? But I love the sound because it's slow moving, obviously, right? And it just kind of like trundles past and you hear like the ding ding. Like it's so cute. I can hear it at night when I'm in bed. I love it, but it might add a little background noise to the podcast. FYI. But if not, it'll
Mhm.
be a puddle on the floor by the time we're done. So pick one.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. I mean, it's cool here. We have like, it's only 67 Fahrenheit right now, and it's
Ah.
supposed to be a high of 72. Like the May gray June gloom has definitely extended into no sky July. This is just one of those years that happens. I'm not necessarily unhappy about it. I'll put that
Mm.
out there. The cooler weather has definitely been nice, but I'm sure there are plenty of people who are like, "Where's the sun?"
Yes. Yeah. It's not bad right now. I mean, and there's a breeze that's just so gorgeous if you're outside. I don't get a
Mhm.
ton of the breeze because my bedroom slash office is on the side of our building. My daughter has a corner and that
Ah,
sounds like, oh, so fan, like, why didn't you take the corner? Because it's about 4 feet wide. So it's really, really tiny, but she's got a corner. So she actually has two windows. So
yeah.
and there's buildings behind us, but we're taller than them. So she gets this
Mhm.
gorgeous breeze that comes in off the river. And I do not. I get like a little bit of a breeze. So if you're outside, it's actually, I think, cooler than being inside right now because you get
Yeah.
that nice breeze. But at night, it's like that at night. It's in the 60s and it's just lovely. But during the day, it can get a little bit on the warm side, but it's nothing terrible. Now, at the end of this week, it's supposed to go to like 97. I'll be like, okay, then. But it's okay. We'll survive.
Well, that's one of the things, right? If you've never lived in the city, you probably don't realize how little breeze apartments and condos get because the way the cities are built with the roads, they kind of become like rivers themselves, the roads, and they really direct the wind straight
Mhm.
down the road. But then the windows are, not actually getting anything because, the way it kind of all blows. So, yeah, it's definitely
Yeah.
hard. We have that a lot in our condo. We wouldn't get a great breeze anyway because we have courtyards on the front and back of our unit. We're lucky in that way. But yeah, a lot of times it's warmer inside the condo than it is
Yeah.
outside.
But recording in the park would be a little challenging. So,
Here we are.
I'll just keep drinking water.
Ignore the people and the pets and
Exactly.
yeah. All right. So today we're talking about whether or not you're qualified to homeschool your children. And there are some fundamental truths in this. And then there are some caveats is not really the right term, but there are some, like asterisks and like, hey, you can do this to help, right? On those things that you feel like a fish out of water. So I think the first point is you have been teaching your kiddo from the very beginning. You taught them how to nap and how to sleep. You have helped them learn to walk and talk. And if you're like me, you actively taught them to potty train. And if you're like Megan, you're like, oh, that just happens. You taught them how to brush their teeth. You taught them how to like safely walk outside and cross the street. You taught them how to tie their shoes, maybe, unless you're our house. And then, like you just never got shoelaces.
I was just gonna say, can we put a neurodivergence disclaimer on that one so that nobody walks away feeling like they have failed? Because yeah, that can definitely be a big factor.
Yeah, exactly. No, we have there's no need for shoelaces in our home for any of us, actually, which is what made it for me like, well, why am I so concerned about being able to tie shoelaces? Like my husband and I, we do know how to tie our shoes if we needed, but we removed all shoelaces and just that's just not a thing, right?
Mhm.
But it's just that thing. You have done all of these things. And it's in your nature to want to teach your kiddo how to use silverware. You want to do these things for your kiddo, and that's no different than working on early emotional development, right? SEL skills and things that you would learn in a more traditional brick and mortar classroom, things like sharing, waiting your turn, naming big feeling. Those are all part of early education. And then there are other things like the early literacy and numeracy things that you're also working on with your younger kiddo, your preschool age, your toddler, your preschool age kiddo, things like pointing out letters, singing the ABCs. I know in my home, we tried to do a lot more phonics alphabet, the phonics ABCs. And we were doing that when kiddo was little. The things like counting out snacks, like you're not thinking, hey, I'm making sure my kid's learning his basic numbers so that he can crush addition when he starts kindergarten. But you're still like, hey, can you hand me, four of these or, whatever it is. That's those kind of early numeracy skills that you're working on. Maybe you're practicing shapes or working on those kinds of things. I mean, I feel like every home in the United States and beyond, right, has one of those shape sorters. And you're like, the circle goes in this.
I knew exactly where you were going as soon as you started,
Oh,
because there's a thing that I've seen online where it's this picture of people trying to shove this massive mattress into like a Honda Accord or something, right? And then like, this is why that toy was invented. These people need one. So as soon as I think of that toy now, that's all I can see is that picture.
their parents did not get them a plastic version of that toy or the wooden one if you're doing all Montessori and whatever, right? You skip the Melissa and Doug version as well as the Fisher Price version. But, I mean, the thing is, you did all of those things and you did not need a degree in early elementary or early child development, right? Like you just taught them life, like toddler life and family life and all of those skills, and you did not need a degree. And now that doesn't mean that there's anything wrong with the folks who have a degree in that, right, and who make that their life. Like obviously that's awesome. I've thought about it on more than one occasion, like, oh, maybe I'd like to, just because I like knowing that kind of stuff, right? There are people who really dig that, but there are tons and tons of people out there who teach these basic skills to toddlers and young kids, and they did not go to college and get a degree to do it. They just did it. And that's okay, right? Learning is not confined to a classroom. And for some reason, it's really easy for us to grasp this concept when they're little, right? Like, oh, of course, like what a 3 or a 4-year-old needs to know, like they don't have to learn it in a classroom. We understand that like learning is just embedded in living and life. But then somehow we have like this big disconnect, right? Where we feel like once they get a little older, like, whoa, I mean, like they don't like they have to learn more than that. And then on the other side of it, we're always like, kids these days are graduating high school with absolutely no life skills. Like, wait a minute. We know how to fix that. We teach them life skills while they're living. We teach these things, we model them, but it's hard, right? And, look, we've talked about it before. We will inevitably talk about it again, I'm sure, at some point. But the Industrial Revolution, it definitely changed the way that we looked at education. And now, look, I am super pro public education. I think it is a great, great thing that free quality education is available to the masses these days instead of just a very small group of elites, right? Like, I think that's a wonderful thing. But that does not change the fact that the Industrial Revolution changed what that looked like and the purpose of school and brick and mortar school specifically, right? And that's, if you're interested in that, there's tons of extra things you can read out there about that. But, the bottom line is you don't have to just learn in a classroom.
Yeah, it's so true, right? I mean, if you look at the continuum of history, kids going to school en masse is brand new. It's like a blip in the continuum of history, which to your point made it elitist before and made it unattainable to a lot of people. But people were learning at home for hundreds and thousands of years before that. So it is possible. It's more than possible. It's amazing. But the push for public education as being the one and only way to be educated. It's just, it was so, so strong, and it became so culturally embedded so quickly that it was just whoosh, it was a lot, right? So yeah. The reality is, though, whether you have a teaching degree or you don't have a teaching degree, you have whatever your background in education is, it does not matter, because what it boils down to is that no one on this earth cares about the success of your child more than you do. And you might share that responsibility with a co-parent or a grandparent who parents along with you or something, but you are their person. So if you're here listening to this and listening to our other episode, we already know how much you love your kids and how dedicated you are to your kids, that you want to grow into this role as a homeschool parent. No one is going to care more about their academic success, their emotional well-being, their social strides than you are. And that's not to say that there are not amazing, amazing teachers in traditional classrooms. There are. There's also ones that aren't amazing, but there's tons of amazing teachers in classrooms, right? So I'm not saying those people do not care about your children. They would not be doing that job if they did not care about children,
Yeah.
right? They're not making any money. So they get crapped on by society. It's horrendous. So they are clearly there because they love your kids. They don't love your kids as much as you do. It's just, it's not possible. So you can personalize your decisions. You can individualize it. The personal investment that you can put into, whether you have one kid, whether you have 5 kids, you don't have 30, right? Which a teacher does in their classroom, 20, 30 kids. So
Yeah.
there's no one that can get down to the nitty-gritty and can sense the intuitive needs of the children better than you can when they're yours. It's just, it's amazing. The other thing too that you can do is you can pivot. Schools, as much as teachers try to, and many of them have the skill set to do it, they either don't have the freedom to do it through their administration, or they just can't. If they've got 20 or 30 kids, it's hard to steer a ship that big. So they can't personalize something or pivot when something's not working. You can pivot. You can literally, I mean, I've done it, right? You've probably done it too, Amanda. You're like laying in bed at night going, we're like really off course. There's something very wrong happening here. Something needs to change. And you sit and you go, what if we did this? Well, that wouldn't work because of this. What if we did that? Well, we could try this. And you could just completely turn something on its head and try something different to see if it works better. A teacher can't do that. The school system can't do that. There's too much red tape. There's too many other kids. It just doesn't work the same way. So, it's like those stories that you see where a parent lifts a car off their child or something, right? It's like parents have this superhuman strength when it comes to doing whatever needs to be done for their kids. And that does not stop at education. So it is
Yeah.
definitely possible.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, it's so true. And it's that thing, right? When you have so many students that you're working with, you can't pivot for each student. What you
Mhm.
do has to work for the class as a whole. And that kind of goes into our next point, right? So the next point is that there's this myth of the perfect certified teacher. And, there's absolutely education you can do. There's certifications you can do. There's continuing education that happens. And all of those things are great and wonderful. And we'll talk about later how they do benefit you as a homeschooling parent. But the reality is, first off, a lot of teachers, what they learn the most or that they take away the most from their education is classroom management. How do you manage and teach 20, 30, sometimes up to 35 kids in a single classroom when you have a limited amount of time to teach a very specific thing? And while in that environment, classroom management is hugely important, it's not going to teach them the skills that they actually need, right? That's not teaching them phonics. That's not teaching them, you know, numerical literacy or any of those kinds of things. That's managing a massive horde of kids and trying to keep them like doing what they're supposed to be doing and generally moving in the right direction. Right? Whereas when you do it at home, it's essentially one-on-one lessons. And we all know that a one-on-one lesson, you get so much more in a much shorter period of time, right? Another thing that is just a reality, right, is that teachers, especially brick and mortar teachers, The quality varies widely for a lot of reasons, right? There are absolutely amazing teachers out there. I know some. I happily follow many on social media. I was lucky enough to have some amazing teachers when I was growing up, but I also had some really bad teachers when I was growing up. And, it's hard right now. I feel like it's especially hard right now because there are a lot of teachers who are just really burnt out, and there is a teacher shortage, right? So you've got some teachers who are just holding on until retirement or until something, until they just can't do it anymore. And that the reality is we live in the United States. You need a job. There's no great social safety net that's going to catch you if you're like, I can't keep doing this anymore. I need to do some, and like, I'm just going to take some time off, right? Like, it's a difficult situation, but the reality does mean that there are teachers who are not really putting their best foot forward anymore, right? Or we also, because of the teacher shortage, you're seeing more and more, substitutes or people who were substitutes with very little training, but maybe some experience in the corporate world. And they've decided they're going to do good and they become teachers, but without like a lot of teacher training. Right. And that definitely happens. And so it's just that like the perfect certified teacher, I'm certain there are a few of them out there. Right. I'm certain there are. I feel like Mrs. Chang, she's awesome, and
Oh,
I would love to be in her class, right? Like, I
yes.
would love to be in her class. Even her whole school seems amazing, right? But, like, we don't all have a Mrs. Chang in our school district or in our school, and they're definitely not gonna be there year after year after year with your student. And even she doesn't have, like, the same kids all day, right? 'Cause she's a gifted teacher, so the kids kind of come in and out of her classroom, and she works with different kids, which is great that, like, so many kids get to work with her, but that still means that they're not working with her all day long, day in and day out, right? And so it's just kind of that thing, right? Like, we all had great teachers, but we didn't have them every year. We didn't necessarily have them for every subject, depending on the age that we were in. We definitely had real shit teachers for some subjects and some years. I had a teacher that used to make me take nap time behind the piano away from everyone else. Like, you don't want that. Like, these are not the things you want to set up for your child. And the other thing too is like no parent stops and thinks like, am I qualified to advocate for my kid? Like, I don't think I'm going to stand up for them because like I didn't go to college to be a lawyer or an advocate, So like, I'm just not gonna like, I'm not gonna take any courses. I'm not gonna read up on this. I'm just gonna be like, man, I didn't go to college to advocate. So that's all there is to it, right?
I
Like,
guess my kid's out of luck.
they'll have to stand up for themselves or wait until they go to college and learn how to do it for themselves, right? Like, we don't we don't need to think that homeschooling is so different from that, right? Like, homeschooling fundamentally is your biggest and best chance to advocate for your kid. It is your chance to completely differentiate for them and their specific needs, whatever those are, whether they're educational, developmental, behavioral, just whatever, medically, like truly,
Mhm.
homeschooling is your chance to differentiate. And we're going to talk about it more in the second half of the episode, but you don't have to do it on your own, right? Just because you're homeschooling, you are qualified to homeschool your child. You're qualified to make these decisions, but you don't have to do it on your own.
Well, I was thinking too when you were talking about teacher qualifications after the election last year, how many memes did we see on social media that said something like, too many of us had a history teacher who was the football coach and it's beginning to show. Right. And they were everywhere and they were getting a million likes and comments because people could connect to it. People resonated with it. They're like, oh my gosh, my history teacher was the football coach. And so I mean, yeah, we've seen it time and time again where teachers get thrown into stuff that even they don't want to teach. They're like, please, can I not? But there's a teacher shortage. And so in you go and make the best of it and do it. And holy cow, this is what it is. So yeah, I mean, it's not an ideal world. It's not like you're comparing homeschooling to the most pristine, perfect system you could possibly ever imagine.
Well, and even for us, we were at a point in our educational journey where we were looking at a really ideal school. It's like super well reviewed. The kids love attending. The campus is beautiful, especially for a city campus. You know, success rate and where they go after and all of these, I mean, like all amazing, right? And yes, it came with a very steep price tag, which does suck. But, we were looking at this and we were really like, do we do that or do we homeschool? And in the end, we decided, like, let's try homeschooling because of the really big price tag for this. And if it just isn't working, we know that it's there. Like it's been there a long time. It's not going anywhere. We can always switch over to that. And we pretty quickly realized, the in homeschooling, the ability, again, that idea that like we can differentiate and give our kiddo exactly what he needs in all of these different places. And because we can do that, he can thrive and grow and flourish so much more and so much faster just because of this ability to truly tailor the plan to him. I mean, we talk about this analogy and all kinds of other things, especially with like all in one curriculum, right? Like one size fits all doesn't fit, but it's that thing, right? Like we all know if you have to buy something off of the rack, it's not necessarily gonna like how hard is it to find the jeans that actually fit at the waist and are the right length and and the pockets don't stick out and all of those kinds of things, right? Like this is your chance to truly tailor exactly what your kiddo needs. So yeah, I'll get off my soapbox just for a brief minute, right? Because we have more to talk about. But before we get to the next part, we do want to take a quick minute to say they're live. If you don't know what that means, you haven't been listening the last few weeks, but we have our classes. So I'm going to start by saying like Meagan had this idea in early June of like, hey, let's finish our ebook. And I was like, yeah, sure. And she's like, and while I have some time, I'm going to take some courses on how we could do like put together an online class and like maybe make that work. And I was like, oh yeah, that sounds great. Like let's figure that out and we can tackle that once the book is done. And spoiler alert, the book did not get done. And in like 6 weeks, we like hauled ass, we hustled and we put together not one, not two, but of course 3 courses for people because it's just that thing, right? Like the Facebook groups right now are full of people who are like, how do I do this? And I don't know where to start. And I think I want to homeschool, but I'm not sure. And like, I need an all-in-one curriculum for my pre-kindergartner. Like
Online.
what's the best
Yeah.
one? Yeah, yeah, totally online. And so it was like, okay, there's clearly a need. It's not going away, especially with like all of the Department of Education funding cuts and a lot of the other just insanity that's happening in the world right now. So we have courses. We have 3 right now. Megan's got a huge list of ones she wants to continue building, so I'm sure there'll be more down the road. But you can find the links here. You can find them on our social media. You can find them from our website. We have one super great like intro homeschooling 101, the no panic boot camp. So if you've been feeling like just overwhelmed, you're not sure where to start, or if you have been like lightly homeschooling or you've been doing something and you're feeling like, oh, this isn't really working anymore and we need to course correct, but I don't really know the best way to course correct. This is a perfect one. The goal is just to help you go from like feeling kind of stressed and overwhelmed to like really focused. This is why we're homeschooling. This is how we want to move forward. And this is how we're going to do it. And all of our courses come with like workbooks to help you work through that and activities to think through like what you want, right? This is not about us telling you like, you have to do this and then you do this and then you do this and you buy this curriculum or you have to be unschooling because that's how Meagan does it. Like none of it is like that. It's all about like asking the questions, working through some things and like really thinking about what you want in your homeschool journey. Then we also have one that's called Preschool and Kindergarten Reimagined. And that's this idea of like, let's look at the evidence, let's look at the research and make sure that we are starting kids off on the best foot. So often people, yeah, I just saw a post that was someone was like, oh, we've been homeschooling for years. And then they're like, and my kids are all 5 and under. And I was like, no. So yeah, if you want to do what's best for your kiddos, that's a great one to start with, that like preschool and kindergarten reimagined. And then it was big. It was a lot of work. We got it done. It's long, right? Because again, we're not trying to say like, take this course and take this course and take this course. There's loads of recommendations of places to start and how to research and how to evaluate your own stuff. But we have a smart guide to curriculum planning. And so excellent if you do want to use curriculum and you're just not entirely sure where to start. We definitely focus on secular options and then looking at which ones align with different learning styles and philosophies and things like that. So I think they're awesome. They're all really affordable, like less than going out to lunch with a friend these days, affordable. Like truly, even our most expensive one is less than an entree at the average restaurant these days because hello, going out to eat is expensive now.
Oh, it's insane, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. So definitely check them out. Give them a look.
Yeah, absolutely. It's exciting, right? So we'll link them in the show notes below, and we'll get all that stuff sorted out for you. But yeah, it's exciting. It was a huge undertaking, but we did it. So we've done it.
And for the record, there will be no more 10-hour days out of me for a very long time. Okay. Like it'll be a little while before we launch anything else quite so big.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, you better swear.
Oh my goodness. All right. So if you're, it kind of ties in with today's episode topic too, right? Like if you're thinking, can I do this? Am I capable of doing this? Am I cut out for doing this? The courses literally are a step-by-step of starting with here's how to find your laws. Here's how to everything, right? Here's how to pick a curriculum. There's spreadsheets that you can log curriculum on that are like the ones Amanda uses. I mean, she's given you like the secret sauce recipe. It's there. So it's good. But yeah. So we were talking before the break about the requirements to teach in public school. I have one. So we were talking before the break about public school and what it is and what it isn't. And yes, there's a definite need for it. Obviously, it needs to exist and all of that. Is it perfect? No, it's not perfect. Most things aren't perfect, but it's like, no, really not perfect, right? It's got some issues and it's only going to get worse without a Department of Education. So that's not good. So yeah, but the reality is like, what are the requirements to teach in the public school system? I'm homeschooling my kids. I do not have a teaching degree. I have a business degree. I do have experience teaching in the adult world and corporate world, which is very, very different. It's super different, but I do not have a teaching degree. I get emails pretty often because our residency is in Florida, inviting me to job fairs to teach in the Florida public school system. Not because I have any sort of teaching. I'm not on a list of like, I don't have a teaching certificate. I don't have a degree that they could have searched. I did go to a Florida university, but I didn't get a teaching degree. So there's no way that I got put on this list because I have the credentials that they're looking for. I got put on this list because I am a human. I have a pulse.
Well, and sadly, because you do have the credential they're looking for, which is at a bare minimum, a 4-year degree. If you have a 4-year degree, you can take this 6-month thing and you can be a certified teacher. I'm like, whoa, really? Okay.
That's it, right?
Me with my business degree, I should be teaching middle school. Okay.
I feel very, very qualified for that, right? So, I mean, yeah, all the emails say no experience necessary. Apply today. Show up at this job fair. I mean, you have to have a pulse to show up at these job fairs and teach in the state of Florida. And my kids, in the very brief period that they went to school in the state of Florida. They had some amazing teachers. They had some really not amazing teachers. They had some loving teachers. They had some that were there doing their thing. They weren't mean, but they also weren't what I'd want my kids to be surrounded by for 6 hours a day, right? Like that energy level. So I am familiar with Florida school system and I don't think so. Yeah, I mean, Texas allows people to teach with just a high school diploma in certain charter schools and under substitute or emergency provisions. Well, guess what? The entire state of Texas is an emergency provision because we lived there during COVID. And so at the end of that, we moved out of Texas in 2022, and there was a mass exodus of teachers from the school system. So guess what? The emergency provision is very real and very permanent and very everyday, right? It's not as much of an emergency as you would think, right? You can teach in Arizona without a bachelor's degree as long as you are pursuing one. I mean, you could take 1 credit online every semester for eternity and teach in the Arizona school system. So yeah. Mississippi and Missouri will allow you to teach under emergency licenses. Again, just getting adults in the classroom. They do not need any formal teaching experience to get an emergency license. So, yeah, the bar is not terribly high. My kids have had amazing teachers who have bachelors, who have master's degrees, who, read up and who do all this stuff, and they're amazing. They're not all amazing. So, if you're looking at the lowest common denominator, you are ahead of the lowest common denominator. You are qualified. You could go get a job in any of these states teaching in the public school system today. So, why would you not be able to teach your own children?
No, I mean, that's it, right? Like, there are great teachers again, and if you've listened to us for any period of time, like we're totally pro teachers, right?
Hmm.
Like we do lots of stuff. I know in our own home, we definitely support our local zoned school, and we help donate books to the library, and we help with fundraisers. And I feel like I'm always, doing those like teacher wish lists because they have to fill their own classroom, right? Like you need books and basic supplies because you don't make enough money to pay for it yourself. I just actually saw like a meme that was like, we don't ask pilots to pay for their own gas. We don't, like, why do we ask teachers to pay for their own classroom supplies and
Yep.
materials? And it's like, it's totally true. And we, we're super pro teacher, but it's also important to know that there's a real crisis when it comes to teachers right now. There are not enough teachers. Most schools are really struggling to fill all of their places, their spots, and teacher pay, even in the districts that pay well, right? Like I know in our local school district, people are always like, oh, they pay so well. It starts at 50,000 a year. That's great. But affordable income, like low income housing, but for one person starts at 70,000, like that's
Right.
so like they still don't make enough to get out of low income housing. Like that's not really like
It's not okay.
yeah, like there's some real struggles there. And because of that, right? Like a lot of people do use the public school system and they need adults, they need grown-ups in classrooms, whether they're really teaching the kids well or not. They need them
Hmm.
there to supervise. So, of course, you can teach your kids that well and better,
Yeah.
right? And better. And that brings us kind of like I've been sort of mentioning it and referencing it, but you do not have to know everything. There are things that you can teach, and there are curriculums you can buy. I have 100%, I'm a huge, because I'm a big curriculum person and I use curriculum a lot. Many of the curriculum we buy, I buy the parent guide and I'm teaching out of the parent guide, because I don't know the new way to do Common Core math, but I think it's great and I want my kiddo to learn that, right? I don't know the kind of history that I should. I have learned way more about real history and, global history than I did at any point growing up through all, you know, 12, 13 years of public education. And I'm learning that and helping my kiddo through that because of the teacher guide or the parent guide, right? Like that allows me to teach more of that. But then beyond that, you can completely outsource to professionals who are passionate about these things and love them. And like, hello, talk about a wonderful gift you can give your child. Give them the chance to learn music from a professional musician.
Hmm.
I'm not knocking music teachers. They are there because they love it. But you tell me if your kiddo is going to be more excited learning from their music teacher in elementary school or middle school, or from like someone who they can go and like download one of their songs and listen to it and then like do voice lessons or, an instrument lesson with them. Like that's amazing. Or, I mean, I was just randomly looking today at the number of people who are doctors, right? They have their PhDs and they're teaching different types of SEL classes online. Like you can have regular teachers in the classroom, like muddling through social emotional learning skills with
Hmm.
your kiddos, or like the school counselor coming in once a month to each classroom and like trying to do these things. Or you can go to someone who has a PhD and is like, I love teaching kids about resilience and, like emotional skills. And I'm going to offer this class online. Like, it's not like it shouldn't be
No
that hard to
contest.
decide. Yeah. Like which one?
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, even like my youngest kid plays chess online in class, in structured class setups. Sometimes it's more tournament based, and then sometimes it's theory based, and they're learning plays and they're learning strategies and stuff like that, right? But the people that he takes class with, all they teach is chess. That's all they do. So it's not like one feather in their cap. This is what they do all day. They love it. They're passionate about it. And I can't hear them because my kid's taking class with headphones on, but I can hear how excited my kid is. And it's being mirrored, and he's not a super excitable kid on his own where he's going to sit there, there's going to be a limp rag on the other side of the screen and he's going to be like, this is amazing. He's an empath. He's going to pick up on that energy. So yeah, I mean, it's a different world when you get to kind of hand select those resources and find those things, which is nice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And, I mean, it's that thing. Schools, especially brick and mortar schools, they 100% tap into outside resources. You have career days and guest speakers and these, like kind of pep rallies where they bring in some, motivational speaker, whatever, but they don't happen that often, once or twice a year, maybe if you're lucky, once or twice a semester. And the goal is like the kids have been kind of bored and we're going to bring this person in to like excite them. Okay, well, fine. And that's great. But if you can excite your kid and energize them on like a regular basis, because almost every week they're in class with someone who is equally as passionate about X, Y, or Z, like I,
Huge.
I can't imagine why you would pass up that opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so huge, right? You do not have to know everything to homeschool. And anybody who's making you feel like a lesser parent or homeschool provider because of that is ignorant of homeschooling. They are,
Yeah.
right? If you've got people in your life who are like, but you sucked at math when you were in school. Okay, so I won't teach my kid math. It's fine.
Yeah.
There's
I
a
will use
million
one of them.
people.
Exactly. I will use one of the thousands of people online or one of the dozens of curriculums that are amazing to help make that happen. Easy.
Yeah.
Done. There you go.
Well, and like the reality is, okay, I sucked at math, presumably in a traditional school environment. So clearly that wasn't the solution to being amazing at everything anyway, right?
There is
It
that.
is possible to show up there 6 hours a day, 180 days a year, and still not know crap about math by the time you're done. So you
Yeah.
can do it differently. You don't have to follow that same path that did not teach you math or that did
Yep.
not. They taught you math. It just didn't sink in because the way it was taught potentially didn't work. But anyway, I digress. So yeah, you just need to facilitate. You don't need to know everything under the sun. It's all good. All right. We have a little bit more. We want to talk about what homeschooling looks like compared to what your day-to-day might look like now, especially if your kiddo's in a brick and mortar school and how that fits in with this. But beforehand, we'd love to invite you over to our Patreon community. We have weekly live meetings. Our book club is kicking off there in September, which we're super excited about. We're going to be doing a book about AI that we're really keen to have some solid discussion around. Whether you love AI or you hate AI or you're petrified of it, it's not going anywhere. So we might as well talk about it and figure out how we need to prepare our kids for this world where AI is becoming more and more saturated. So yeah, we have meetings over there. We have socials. It's a kind place. You can come with questions. You can show up for our homeschool Q&A and just be like, I'm lost. I have these 3 math curriculums and I can't pick between them. Can someone please talk through this with me? I need somebody to just listen to me brain dump and help me sort out the confusion of knots in my brain. That's what we do. So yeah, come. We try to make it, again, like Amanda said before, super affordable. We know that most people homeschooling aren't sitting there just on buckets of cash. So we try to make everything we do super affordable, that if you come to our live meeting throughout the month, I think it works out to like $4 a meeting or something like that, which for an hour of personalized homeschool attention, in my mind, well worth it. So I'm just saying, I would have loved this when I was new. I mean, I was catching information at the park and being like, do you mind if I ask this? Do you mind if I ask that? And you feel like you're being a pain sometimes because you're asking like 10,000 questions. Come, bring your 10,000 questions. That's what we do. We love it when questions come in. So we're happy campers. And then we just have chat channels that run all the time. So you don't even have to wait for a live meeting, or if live meetings aren't your jam, you can totally pop it into a chat and just be like, can somebody please help me right now? It's a really kind, supportive community, and we would be happy to help you right now. So we're as close to right now as we get our notifications.
Yeah, no, there's that. And then even beyond that, there's a totally free level, right? Like you don't have to
Yeah.
pay anything. You don't have to, there's no like, it's a totally free level that you sign up for. And then, you get certain notifications about things, but we do like a monthly newsletter there that gives you all the details about like what our unit study is and some of the things that are going to be coming up in the podcast in the coming month and a little bit of behind the scenes stuff, like what we're reading and things like that. But it's just like a great roundup. And anyone who signs up, even as a 100% free member, gets that each month. So, come over and join, right? There's no pressure. Like obviously we would love for you to join at one of the membership levels and get the free resources and things like that, get the unit study each month and all of those extra things that come with it. But if that's not where you're at right now and you're like, oh, I want more, but I just spent way too much on a bunch of curriculum because it started the new school year. We're like, oh, we're planning our Christmas family vacation, our holiday trip, and like there's no extra money to be squeezed out of this stone. Like there's a free option.
Yeah.
It's totally free. So come and at least join it and get plugged in with the community.
Yeah. I love that. Excellent. All right. So our last thought of the day is if you have a kiddo who's in brick and mortar school and you're contemplating homeschooling and you're thinking, there is no way I can spend 24/7 with this kid. There is no way that I can homeschool this kid. Homework every day makes me want to stick nails under my fingernails. There's no way I can do this. We clash, we butt heads, whatever the case might be. And you're thinking, how on earth do I think I'm going to be able to do this all the time? And there's no guilt in saying, like, school is my break, right? When they go to school, because maybe you have a really high demand, high energy, high kiddo, right? Like all of it. It's just an extreme situation. We've talked about this before when we've talked about neurodivergence, especially, and how some kids are extra. Amanda and I each have kids that are extra in their own ways. And so, yeah, I get it. So we are not judging you if you're sitting there having that thought. I promise you. We get it. We totally get it. The one thing that I would love to say is the kid that you pull out of school today, the kid that is too much, that is anxious, defiant, withdrawn, angry, clingy, perfectionist, whatever it is, that kid is not the kid you will be homeschooling. That child is a product of the environment that they are in that is likely not a fit. I mean, think about like the worst job you've ever had where you show up every day. I think of that movie Office Space, right? Where they like drag themselves into work every day. And I mean, I had a corporate job for 10 years. I cried under my desk more times than I can tell you. And all I tried to do was plot my escape. I mean, it was like a permanent situation, was me just trying to plot my escape out of that place. Or think about you're in a previous relationship that was not a good relationship. Are you your best self when you're in a job you hate or a relationship that's toxic? No, you look back on that person and you think, oh my gosh, look at the change in me from then till now. Your kid will be the same. When you leave that school environment, when you take the necessary time to de-school, which we cover a ton in that Homeschool 101 class, and there's worksheets on how to do it and all that kind of stuff. When you decompress, when you detoxify from that environment, from that situation, you will see it's like onion layers peeling off of your kid, right? All of this stuff that's causing them to be anxious, to be angry, to be willful, to be this, to be that. I mean, if homework clash is one of your thoughts, like, oh, I can't homeschool because of homework clash, do you want to go somewhere and sit down for 6 hours a day and then come home and do more work that's associated with the place that you just sat for 6 hours a day? Like, no one wants to do that. It's awesome.
Now that you're done, go home and do and work more for free. None of us, that's not like, oh yes, that's the job that I want. Thank you very much. Like,
no, it's horrible for them. Homeschooling is not a packet of worksheets. If it is, come talk to us. Homeschooling is not a packet of worksheets. Okay. So homeschooling can heal your child, heal your relationship with your child. You need to take a break. You will be homeschooling a different person than the stressed out, whatever, whether it's angry, whatever it is, whatever your child is today in school, they will not be that thing at home. They will be a different version. I'm not saying your child will be an ideal cherub, right? They're still kids. They're still going to you're going to spend time together. You're going to get on each other's nerves from time to time. It's not like, oh, perfect, perfect all day long, but it will be an entirely different, the crucible flame will be lowered so much that it will be a completely different situation.
Yeah, look, and I adore my kiddo. Like I think he's amazing. I think he's an amazing human. I'm super excited to see the person he's turning into. Like I truly adore my kiddo and I adore drop-off days. Okay? Like I love a drop-off day. There are days where I'm like, "Woof, Tuesday. Yeah, have fun. I will see you in 5 hours." I need that break, right? Even if on my end it only ends up being 4 because of the drive and the back and the forth and all of the, like we in our home, we 100% rely on a combination of things that involve me dropping him off somewhere else and letting him have an amazing time with friends and learning from someone else and dealing with a coach or another teacher that he has to listen to. And me having some time, whether it's just to get some things done, whether it's to sit for an hour and read something that I've just been like, I really need to just decompress and disconnect and like, or maybe I have to go to an appointment, or maybe I don't know, want to do something crazy, like have lunch with my friend, right? Like I love a drop off class. So we get you, right? Like it's not, even you can absolutely adore your child and still need a break. And there are options when you're homeschooling. There's nothing that says, well, you homeschool now, so you have to stay home all of the time and you have to be their only point of contact from 9 to 5, day in and day out. Like it does not have to look like that.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've got an episode coming up about that too. So we'll be talking more about that. But yes, you do not have to spend 24/7 with your kid. And the kid you have today in school is not the kid you will homeschool. So take a breath. You can do this. It's good.
Yeah.
All right. So we end every single episode with a mantra. And this week's mantra is qualified. You're the most qualified person on the planet to care about your kid's future.
Yeah.
True story, right? I mean, yeah, you wouldn't let anybody else make medical decisions for your kid or like big medical decisions for your kid, right? This is this is big. You get to make these decisions. You get to do this and you are qualified. You've got this. You're not a doctor, but you're still the one who's sitting there researching stuff and figuring out what's best for your kids. I did my own research, not that kind, right? I watched a YouTube video. I'm an MD now.
You can, but I mean, again, that's the whole point, right? Like you can, you can get the information, you can use quality resources. You're not doing it totally on your own. You can reference the specialist, the best out there. You can use all of those things to make the best plan moving forward.
Yeah. Well, the reality is like the advice that we give in the courses that we build, for example, most of it, not most, almost all of it is based on studies that are done in the public school system or through the public school system, not just in the US, but around the world. And we're referencing things where teachers are going to administration and going, please, we know this is the best way to do things. Can you please let us do what we know to be best? And administration is like, la, 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 I can't hear you. Right. And so it's like, we'll give you those studies. We've read them all. So you want to know what teachers are lobbying for and can't get? You don't have to do the lobbying. You can just do it, which is so much of a smoother path. So much better.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, thanks for joining us today and have an awesome rest of your day. Happy homeschooling.
Yeah. Have a great one.